Hey, Eli. How are you today?
Good.
Good. Do you have questions on yesterday's or just today?
Um,
Both?
I think I maybe need some help on the homework. I think
On
I
the quiz that I have that's up?
yes, ma'am. 6. Those problems.
On number 6? Like 5 and 6?
Uh, yes, ma'am. That would be fine.
Okay. You know, I'm so glad that you asked about those. That I'm really, really happy about that. Because I've got to be honest with you. When everybody does fine when they're graphing the equations and we have those, but then when we start to introduce the x and y intercepts, it gets a little confusing. And I'm hoping, and please ask me as many times as it takes to get clarification, okay? Because it really, really, really can get confusing.
Yes.
So I am tickled that you asked about it. Though that is an excellent question. Bear with me just one second. And I think, let me do this.
Sparks.
Hey, Mary Faith, how are you?
Good.
Does this rainy weather make y'all sleepy?
It's not raining at my house.
Oh, it's not? Is it cloudy?
Yes, but the sun's trying to come out, but the wind's blowing very hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's real. It's over by my house. It's very, very cloudy. Like,
yeah, that's
I woke up at 6 o'clock thinking it was like 4 in the morning. It was so dark. So, all right. Let me get some of this erased. Number, what is number 5, Eli?
0, 4, and -3 and 4.
Like what is the question? What's it say?
Find the slope of the line that passes through the points.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, that's Thursday's homework.
Oh, is it?
Are you already started on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. You are working ahead. You go. All right. So you don't need any help on the quiz. You're good on that? On page 170?
Well, it would help if you do some on 170.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking that you were asking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was thinking that you were asking me about number 5 on the quiz on page 170, number 5. But you're okay on that one?
Yes, ma'am. Could you do maybe on page 170, number 12?
Absolutely, I can. Let me, since you asked about number 5 and I was so excited, I was going to do number 5 and number 6 just because I want to make a clarification with you guys on while we're on Math Lab today. You know how we've been solving for X and Y intercepts? You know, and so you'll get the end of the equation. It'll say X equals 6 or X equals whatever.
Yes.
Please note that the instructions for 4, 5, and 6 are to graph the equation. That's very different than the x and y intercepts. So if it's saying graph the equation, that's going to be a line. So I think yesterday in class, I talked about this a little bit. Make sure, this is very crucial, that when you're doing these quizzes and you're following directions on these tests, quizzes, and homework, that you're reading the directions. It's always been important, but it's very crucial in this particular chapter. So if it says equation, that means it's going to be a line. So y equals -5 is going to be the line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that runs through here. And x equals 6 is going to be when it says graph the equation, it's going to be the line that runs through 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 that runs through here. And oftentimes students, when we start dealing with the x and y intercepts, oftentimes students look at that and think, oh, she's asking for the intercept. But if it's saying graph the equation, it's always saying graph the line. I want to make that clarification. That seems to always be a wee bit confusing to students. So now I'm going to move on. Does that make sense to both of you all?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is anybody else here with us?
I'm here, Miss Sparks.
Okay, so it's just Mary and Eli so far, right?
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm on here.
Oh, who's here? Who's that?
Addison.
Hey, how are you, Addison?
Good, how are you?
I just want to make good. I just want to make sure I'm saying good morning to everybody. Okay, so number 12. Okay, so the equation, we're supposed to find the x and y intercept of the graph of the equation. So you really don't even have to graph it once you find the x and y intercept. You're just supposed to find them. And the number 12 looks like this. -2x minus 5y equals 22. All right, so we're going to find the x and y intercept. So to find the x intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for y, because the x intercept would be where y equals 0. -2x, and then 5 times 0 is 0. So now we'll have -2x equals 22. We're going to divide both sides by -2, and that's going to give us x equals -11. So the x-intercept is going to be -11, 0. Or you could write x equals -11. So that's where sometimes it gets a little confusing. Are you talking about an equation of a line, or are you talking about the x-intercept? So that's why you've got to follow directions. All right, now for the y-intercept, you would plug in a 0 for the x. And now we have 0 minus 5y equals 22. -5y equals 22. Divide both sides by 5. And you have y equals 4 2/5 roughly. So that's 4.4. Is that right? -4.4.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Sparks, can you do number 21 and 23 on the homework from yesterday?
The classwork from yesterday? Absolutely, I can. All right. Eli, did that make sense to you? Because I think you were the one that asked about number 12. Did that help?
Yes, ma'am. I think I could do the first part. Just finding the y looks a little bit harder.
Yes. Finding the y is a little bit harder because you're going to end up with a decimal. I am okay, Eli, honestly, if you want to leave it in this form right there. 22 over -5. It just, if you were being asked to graph it, obviously, it's not all of us know exactly what 2/5 look like. And 4.4 is actually just a little bit closer to 4.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So, but if you left it on a test, if you left it at 22 over -5, I would be just fine with that because you can't reduce it anymore. But if you wanted to take it to this, you just plug that. If you plug in 22 divided by -5 on your calculator, you'll get a -4.4.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and then, let's see. Mary Faith, you said what number from yesterday, baby?
21 and 23.
21 and 23. Are you okay with me erasing this now, Eli?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then Addison, did you get on here in time to see me do, I think, what did I do? 5, 6, and 12 on the quiz?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, good. Did you have a question on any other ones?
For number 4, would you have to create a table?
Yes, ma'am.
You would? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And on that one, you could definitely create a table, or I guess you could actually do the X and Y intercepts. Either you could pick the one that you wanted, but you could pick either way. It wouldn't matter. If you wanted to use the X and Y intercepts, you could do that. And if you wanted to use a table, you could do that, whichever one you felt like was easier.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. That's the fun thing. By the end of this chapter, you all will have learned at least 3, if not 4. I'm trying to remember exactly how many ways they show you. 4 ways to graph a line. So, by the end, unless it specifically says graph using the slope-intercept form, graph using a table of values, unless it specifically says, it doesn't matter to me which one you use. Okay. 21, right? So number 21. And Toby, I think it was Toby, actually pointed, it was Toby, I can't remember exactly who it was, pointed out in class, when they have a circle around them like that in the book, like when there's a circle within the skill practice, there's a red, like there's a point in your book at the back where it actually has worked out solutions for you. Not that I mind working it out, but if you ever do have a question, if it's circled like that, it's in the back of the book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For future reference. And it's actually worked all the way out. I'm very happy to do it here. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for future reference. I actually didn't know that. I believe it was Toby that showed me that yesterday. Somebody showed me. Y equals -4x plus 3. So what you're going to do, it's asking to graph the equation and label the points where the line crosses the axis. So it's actually asking us to find the X and the Y intercept. So to find the X intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for the Y and solve for X. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Then I'm going to divide both sides by -4. And so I have a positive 3/4 equals x, or 0.75.
Okay,
But
I was just making sure because I didn't know if I did it right. And so fractions always freak me
when
out.
we don't get pretty answers, we always second guess ourselves,
I know.
don't we?
Every time.
Yes, I know. The further you go in math, the less pretty the answers are. Y equals 0 plus 3, y equals 3. So the x-intercept is 3/4, and the y-intercept is 3.
Wait, what?
Oops. Let me go back. Sorry. I got 3 for the y-intercept.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Is that what you got?
Yeah, I was looking at the
Okay.
wrong problem.
Oh, okay. So I was going to go over here. If the y-intercept is 3 and the x-intercept is 3/4, have a good time graphing that, Miss Sparks.
Oh, whoops. I put it as -3/4. Whoops.
I think it's positive, isn't it? Did I do it wrong?
No, I just did my math wrong.
Okay, because a negative divided by a negative
Yeah.
is a positive. So, okay. I was like, I had to, you guys know I make those simple math mistakes too. Happens to everyone. So we always have to kind of double check ourselves. So that would be the graph of the line, because once you get the x and the y intercept, you just connect them. It's 2 points to make a line. And then I think you also said to do number 23. Is that correct?
Yes.
Eli, you're moving and grooving with the math work this week, asking about Thursday's work already. I'm so proud of you. And I will definitely get to those, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome. And like I say, I sure wish there was a quicker way to erase. If anybody discovers that on Cami and you can share it with me, I would greatly appreciate it. Number 23. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for y. And then to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for x.
It was the 18 that threw me off because I didn't know if it should go that high or not.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, you can have some pretty high, yeah, I know. They're delightful, aren't they, when they go that high? And so then that's going to be -9/2, which when graphed, that's roughly -4.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of times on stuff like that on homework. What was it? The X is 18. I'll do things like,
I for my graph, put like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
You can absolutely do that, honey. Absolutely do that. You could even do 3, 6, 3, 6, 9, 12 if you wanted to and go over that way. And I will also tell you this, your increments for your y-axis don't necessarily have to match. Like your x and your y can be different increments. It's okay, as long as you're writing it down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like if I wanted to on this, for my y, I could do increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my y would be up here. Because is it negative or positive? I can't. Oh, it's negative. I need to go the other direction. But 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd be down here would be my y. And then if I wanted to, you did 2, 4, 6, 8. I mean, you could even do 3, 6,
Yeah, I'm
9,
doing these.
12, 15, 18.
Yeah.
You could even do that if you wanted to.
Okay.
As long as you're showing me and I see the work, I'm really okay, because, graphing is kind of like that. So your y-axis doesn't always have the increments that go from space to space to space do not always necessarily have to match, as long as you're showing me, oh, I did the y-axis like this and I did the x-axis like this, as long as I know. But plus I'll usually have your work, like this work here that shows me, well, x equals 18 and y equals -4/5.
Yeah.
I'll have that to kind of do a comparison thing with too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Any more questions about 3.3 or the quiz?
Could you do number 29 on page 167?
Absolutely. Okay, number 29 says identify the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the graph. So on 29, where does the line cross the x-axis? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
And then the y
that
is
would
2.
be okay. So for number 29, the x-intercept is 3, 0. And where does it cross the y-axis on 29? At -2.
Oh, so it'd be 0, 2.
0, -2.
Oh, 0, -2.
And you could write it like this also, or you could give me the ordered pair.
Okay. Do you prefer one or no?
No, not really.
Okay.
The only reason, or you could just write 3 is the x-intercept. The only reason that I might prefer the ordered pair is so that you guys don't get confused with the fact that if I ask you to graph the equation x equals 3, that's going to be a vertical line. That's the only thing. I get really nervous about that for you guys, because like if you're just running through a test or a quiz and it says, find the x-intercept or whatever, identify the x-intercept, and you see x equals 3, and then like 2 or 3 lines down it says graph the equation x equals 3, it can get really confusing. So sometimes I ask students while you're learning to go ahead and write it in an ordered pair. Plus it helps identify, oh, when I'm finding the x-intercept, I have to plug in a 0 for y, because when it crosses the x-axis, the y coordinate is 0. So sometimes it helps solidify that thought too. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But as far as right and wrong, I would never count you wrong if you wrote x equals 3 for the x-intercept on number 29.
Miss Sparks,
Yes.
can you do number 11?
Number 11 on yesterday's homework or on the quiz?
On the quiz.
On the quiz.
After that, can you do number 27 on the homework from yesterday?
Yes. And yes. 20, and then just remind me in case Miss Sparks forgets. Three x minus 6y equals 36. So finding the x-intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for y. And then we would have, let me do this. 3x minus 0 equals 36. 3x equals 36. Divide both sides by 3. And we would have x equals 12. And to find the y-intercept, we're going to plug in a 0 for the x. And then we're going to divide both sides by 6. And y equals -6. So we have 12 as the x-intercept and -6 as the y-intercept. And Addison, are you still with me? Is she still with me? Oh, she left. Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure she knew that there was going to be horizontal and vertical lines because, you know, they're having the quiz tomorrow while y'all take the PSAT.
Oh,
And I
fun.
wanted her to, that there would be a horizontal and vertical line on the test. Did that help, Eli?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And then I think, Mary Faith, you wanted me to do 27 on yesterday's homework,
Yes, please.
classwork, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So it's y equals 1/2 x plus 1/4. I don't know why in the world you'd want me to do that, Mary Faith, as much as you love fractions, honey.
Mhm.
All right, so to find the x-intercept, I have to plug in a 0 for y. So I'm going to subtract 1/4 from both sides.
Oh, well, that's where I messed up. I don't know why I did that.
And then to clear the fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I'm going to get a -2/4 equal x, which then reduces to 1/2.
Oh, for some reason I put 0 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. I don't know why. I just completely stopped 1/4.
And then to get the, yeah, that would be confusing. And then to get the y-intercept, you have to plug in a 0 for the x. So the y-intercept is 1/4. The x-intercept is -1/2. Did we have to graph this one?
Hold on.
Was this one of the ones we had to graph? Yes. So.
Oh, wait. Can you go back for just a second?
Oh, yeah, sure can.
Okay.
You want me to graph it?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to erase this graph right here. And I believe that it was x equals -1/2 and y equals 1/4. These are always fun to graph. So x equals -1/2 is right here. And y equals 1/4 is right there. So fun. That was fun to graph. It's so hard when they're teeny tiny like that. I guess if you wanted to, you could make those increments really small and make them 1/4 or something.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
would make the graph a little bit better, but easier to work with. Okay. And now, Eli, I believe that you asked for. Is there any more on those, Mary Faith?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And Eli, you were asking for number 15? What were they? On Thursday's work? Are you with me, Eli?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to find it right quick.
I'm so sorry, love. I'm going to start erasing.
Miss Sparks, while he's doing that, could you check this for me on number 25 on the classwork?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get x equals -7.5?
You said 25?
Yeah.
I'm looking. Sorry.
It's okay.
What did you say your answers were again?
I got for y is 3. And then
Yes.
x equals -7.5.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That's what I got.
Thank you.
Aha.
Instead, Miss Sparks, can you do problem 3 on 174. I mean,
Problem
173.
number 3 on 174.
173, actually.
Okay. I sure can. Problem 3? That's so funny. I couldn't imagine why you would ask for that. That one is a humdinger, isn't it? Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. 9/2 and 5. So what we're doing is finding the point, or the slope rather, between the point 9/2 and 5 and 1/2 and -3. It is probably one of my greatest pet peeves in this particular curriculum, that while they're like, I don't mind having fractions on the homework at all. I think it's a good tool. But while they're teaching the concept, it would be nice if they just kept it whole integers until you've mastered it, and then throw in a fraction for a twist. But, you know, okay, let's go ahead and have some fun, right? All right, so we're just going to call this x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. And the equation of slope is y, and you can do y1 minus y2 or y2 minus y1. I can't remember which way. I think it's the book. This book does it this way.
What was that? I don't miss these kind of problems.
I'm sorry, I was letting my dog out. If y'all said something, I apologize. Did I miss some?
I don't miss these kind of problems.
Oh, sweet Mary Faith. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just plug in our values back into the equation. So we have m equals, and so y2 is -3, and then we've got a minus, and then y1 is 5. All over x2 is 1/2 minus 9/2. Well, the blessing here is that the fraction on the bottom at least share a common denominator, so we don't really have to mess with that. So at the top, we've got -3 minus 5, so that's going to give us a -8. And then 1/2 minus 9/2 gives us a -8/2. And praise the Lord, 8/2 actually reduces to -4.
No.
And then you have -8 divided by -4, which is a +2.
Okay.
All of that race for a +2.
You're right. That is a humdinger.
It is. Indeed, it is. The key is not to panic. Just to go ahead and start working it and take it one step at a time. You know, it's like anything else. Just do the next right thing. That's what I love about math. It's a great life lesson. A lot of times when a problem or a task seems so big because you're looking at it, you know, at the beginning and see where you need to go, but just do the next right thing. Just, you know, you go ahead and write down what the points are, write down your formula, then write down, plug in your values into the right place in that formula, and just keep doing the next right step. And don't skip any steps. You know, that can always hurt you in life too. Just don't skip steps. Just baby step your way through the whole thing.
That's my problem. I either skip a step or I go over it, or I like forget a step. Yeah.
And that's what I think is so valuable about math, is it teaches us to break down daunting tasks into small baby steps. And I just feel like that's what the Lord would have us do when a problem seems so big in our life, that he'll just guide us to that next right step. Just break it down, take it one step at a time, and do the next right thing. And, we got to this point here. And, that's a complex fraction. That's crazy looking. But the blessing was, as we even found out here, not that we couldn't have handled it had it turned out another way, but we found out a blessing in that is that -8/2 actually does reduce down to -4. So, but when we're looking at it, this right here, I know for many of you right here, that just looks ugly. It really does. And I get that, but just when you break it down like that, it's kind of sweet, and it makes you feel so good. How smart do you feel when you get to the end of that? You're like, well, hallelujah, that wasn't so bad at all. And Mary Faith, we had some ugly answers on our homework, but how pretty is just a plain old 2? So not too bad when you get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Did that help, Eli?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. I'm so proud of you for knocking out Thursday's work already, buddy. That's great. Mary Faith, do you have any other questions, or would you like me to check any more on yesterday's classwork or the quiz?
I don't think so. Hold on.
Were you able to write, even though you were working on some of yesterday's classwork, were you able to get another piece of paper and write some of the quiz work down?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, good. You can always go back and watch the recorded link if you need to also. That's good about this. Eli, is there any more on how many guided practice problems were there?
Oh, Miss Sparks, on number 4, how would you write this on a graph?
Are you talking about in the quiz, baby?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to the quiz. Oh, that's the one. I think Addison asked about this, but I didn't actually. Eli, am I good to erase this?
Ma'am.
Okay. Maybe actually, I tell you what. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go here and actually do it over here, because I believe I'm supposed to graph it. Is that correct, Mary Faith? Doesn't it say to graph it?
Well,
okay.
Slope.
I told Addison she could do it one of 2 ways. Now that we know 2 ways to graph, you can either use an XY table for that one. So let's just look at it that way. So the equation is 4x minus 2y equals 12. So if I were going to do an XY table, I've been defaulting to -1, 0, and 1. So if I plugged in a -1 here.
Wait, what problem are you on?
I thought you asked me to do number 4.
Yeah, the one where it's like find the slope of the line.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted it on the quiz, honey.
Wait. Is this on? Hold on. Now I'm confused.
The quiz 1 through 12 is today's work. Eli is working on Thursday's work, and that's the guided practice and the video for slope.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
So do you want me to keep working on this other one or no?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Can you go ahead and do that one, though?
Number 4. You want me to do 4 on the quiz or 4 on the guided practice?
4 on the quiz, please.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to, this is one way to do it, Eli. There is another way, and I'm going to show both ways. So the X, Y tables, I'm plugging in -1 here. And then, so I have 4 minus 2y. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And that's going to give me -2y equals 8. And so y, and then I'm going to divide both sides by -2. And that's going to give me -4. So -1, -4. And then I'm going to plug in a 0 now, which when I plug in a 0 for x, that's going to be my y-intercept, isn't it? We've already learned that.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Miss Sparks,
Yes, love?
on the quiz, finally got it, on the quiz, on number 1, is it talking about, like, so it says plot the point in a coordinate plane, describe
Yes,
the
ma'am.
location of the point. For example, on number 1, it says -7 and 2. Does that mean you'd go to the left 7 and up 2, or
Yes.
plot a point on 7 and then plot a point, or -7, plot a
No,
point?
it's asking for the actual point, -7, 2. So you would go over 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, and then up 2.
Okay.
And then when it says describe where it is, remember this is quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3.
Okay.
And so you're going to tell me that it's in quartile 2 to
Okay. I
describe
didn't know if it was talking about, like, put a point on -7, put a point on 2. Okay.
No.
All right.
When it's in parentheses like that, it's not asking that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then so we're going to stick in a 1 now. So -4 minus 2y equals 12. Going to add 4 to both sides. So now I've got -2y equals 16 and y equals -8. So I've got 3 points, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, down 8. Now, Eli, one of the other things that I could have done on this, and I can't remember now which one it is. I think it's 4. The other thing I could have done, this is the x-intercept. I could have actually stuck in a 0. Oops. For the y. One, two, three. I could have actually done that and gotten the y-intercept, or that's not the y-intercept. This is the y-intercept, which is here, and the x-intercept, which is here, and I actually could have connected those 2 points. And technically, oops. My line should go through all of it. So I could have done that by finding the X and Y intercept, or I could have done that one by doing 3 points, whichever way you want to do it. Probably the X and Y intercept is a little easier, but really only takes 2 points to make a line, 3 points to make a parabola when we get to those. But so there's 2 different ways to kind of approach number 4.
I have another question on the one at the top of the quiz 1 through 3.
Yes.
Wasn't that what Mary Faith was asking on what it was trying to ask you to do? And so,
Yes.
like, one would be, so it's asking you what section of the graph it is in?
Yes. So it's asking you, like, this number 1 is -7, 2. When it comes in parentheses like that, it's giving you an ordered pair. It says plot the point. So it's letting you know that that's just 1 point, and it's giving the X and the Y coordinate for that 1 point. Plot it in the coordinate plane and then describe the location of the point. So -7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, I didn't plot it right, did I? -7, 2. And it's in quadrant 2.
Okay.
Quadrant 2. I might have said quartile because I've been working with box and whisker plots. I'm so sorry. It's quadrant 2.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so let's take a look at number 2, and let's just go ahead and graph that one. That one is 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that isn't in a quadrant. So you would just tell me, oh, that's on the y-axis. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the last point is 2, -6. So you would go right 2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that one is in quadrant 4. And number 5 is right here. And number 6 is right here at the top. This is number 5, and this is number 6. And see, you know, a lot of times when we're solving for that y-intercept, you end up with that. But the key to note here is that the instructions say
May I see 5 and 6 again?
yes, sir. The instructions say to graph the equation. So very different than just the x-intercept or the y-intercept. The key in the directions are, it says graph the equation, which tells me it's going to be a line and not a point. This is not a y-intercept. This is not an x-intercept. When it says graph the equation, it's looking for a line. Does that make sense? And do you guys see the difference?
Yes, ma'am. That makes sense.
Okay. So I think we've done 1, 2, 3. We've done 4, 5, and 6. And I believe we've done 11 and 12. For the quiz. So are there any other questions? About the quiz or about yesterday's classwork?
No, ma'am.
Does everybody feel pretty good about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Mary Faith?
Why is there two of me in the chat?
Yeah, there's two.
It looks like you left and came back. Did
Yeah,
you?
it says I lost connection.
Oh, I don't know.
No, that'd probably be a bad idea if I blocked myself.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't really know which one of the two is working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Did you miss something?
Yeah, I missed just a second ago.
Okay. What let's see. I don't know when that happened. I was talking about making sure on 5 and 6, you see how it says y equals -5. And when we've been solving for y-intercepts and x-intercepts, we are the end of our equation will say something to the sort of y equals blah, whatever the y-intercept is, or x equals whatever the x-intercept is. I want to make sure that you all are clear in reading the directions, that when it says graph the equation, that it's looking for a line and it's not just asking for the y-intercept, to make sure that you're reading the directions and clarifying between one and the other. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Were you there for that part, or did you miss that?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay. And so that I had done a lot of circling, like, and outlining of the fact that the instructions on the quiz say graph the equation. And so I was making sure that you guys understood that when it says equation, that is an equation of a line, even when it's something as short as y equals -5. It's asking for a line, and that's not referring to the y-intercept. Any other questions? Both of you two are taking the PSAT tomorrow, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'll be praying for you guys. I know I'm proctoring, but I just don't know who I'm proctoring yet. So if y'all don't have any questions, I'll be back on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Email me if you have any questions between now and then.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.